Welcome back, everyone. New Mutator here, and I'm going to be casting Game 2 of Myth Kickballers Week 2. And so already Rat King is up 1-0 as we move into this game. A couple of things. There's been kind of a roster change. Sasper left Donsky's team, and instead of him, Donsky picked up Browning. And then a player also left Rat King's team. So let's see, who was it? Oh, I think it was Love-A-Lot Bear. And so Thor's going to be on the team for Rat King. The map is the Barrens, and it's Capture the Flag. And, you know, it's going to be kind of interesting. 1 second here. It's going to be kind of interesting to see exactly what happens. Yeah, I have to say I'm a little bit worried when I look at Rat King's team. I'm on Donsky's team, and I'm looking at Rat King's team, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, you know, I don't really see any weak links. Like, you know, there might be a couple sort of weaker links, but but nobody really is bad. You know, there's nobody really that bad. But you know, I can't really say the same for Donsky's team. Like, I'm a little bit worried that there are a couple weak links that might affect the outcome of the game. And the other thing I want to mention is just the relative differences between these two teams in terms of strategy. So when we look at Rat King's team, we see that he doesn't have very many archers. He only took about 9 archers, which is not very many at all. And the other thing I wanted to mention is the fact that he takes 2 journeymen, which is kind of unusual. That's something that you don't see very often. And the other thing is that he invested a lot of unit trading points in these goals. He took maximum whites for pus, but at the same time, this is a lot of goals. Like, you know, if he uses just large pus packets, that's only this many goals. So over half of the goals are going to be pusless, or, you know, without any throwing projectiles at all, I'm presuming. And the rest he just sank straight up into melee and 5 dwarves, and also a few leftover points for thrall defense, presumably. Whereas when we look at Donsky's team, we can see that quite a higher number of archers here. I can't even count that, but that's, you know, maybe 16 or more. I don't even know. That's over. That's like 17 or something. But yeah, fewer goals, maybe just as many for the pus, for picking up the pus. 5 dwarves again, only 1 journeyman, and then the rest in melee. So maxing out the Stygian Knights and the warriors, and then the rest going into thrall. And so another thing I want to mention is the kind of the positioning, the placement of some of these players in the game. You know, how they fan out across the map. We can see for Rat King, he himself is going to be taking this gold pack, which I'm kind of a fan of. I'm a huge fan of using gold packs and using them effectively, using them well. So I'm curious to see how he utilizes these here. He is going to basically be scouting out the middle and basically taking this island here for his team, while we're still kind of scrambling to make our way over there. So basically he's taking over the middle area of this map, over half of the map here, which kind of puts his team at an advantage. But the other thing to consider is that, you know, usually it's not a good trade-off to have a lot of goals, because that is kind of a lot of unit trading points tied up in something that isn't very strong. You know, goals are very quick, but they're not very strong, and they die somewhat easily. And so that's kind of interesting. The other thing is I'm a huge fan of this Kermesi with the scouting warrior in the south. I think that's kind of a nice touch, to be able to see if anybody is going to be coming around the long way and maybe doing a sneak attack on their flag. Also leaving a dwarf on the flag is a pretty wise idea as well. But we can see that Father Xmas is going to try to sneak his way along the edge of the map and try to take this flag by surprise, and he may get away with that. We see that Giant Killer General kind of comprising the main force, even though I thought he was supposed to be flanking from looking at the text, but he's going to be in the middle here. And with Spartan Ken, who, you know, I don't know, we'll see what happens, but I'm kind of curious as to why Spartan Ken has that many units, or unit types, I should say, as that's kind of a lot to have to worry about. Also, Vi for Power and myself are squaring off with Kremisi and Rat King's Gold Pack, as well as Thor's Warrior Pack there. Across from Giant Killer General, and also I think Donsky is down here too, kind of with, who is this? Adrenaline has kind of a large force there, as well as Kruniak has a force there also, and they might be trying to do kind of a flank as well. Arsenic kind of mobilizing to prevent that from happening. So Heart Attack and Sam the Butcher are going to be kind of this mid-force for Rat King as well as Enculator. And so what's happening here is basically we're getting rushed. Vi for Power and myself, we were just way out of position. I don't even know why we stayed where we were, to be honest. And we just got bulldozed. We just got ran over by Thor, Rat King, and Kremisi, who really coordinated that very well. But the other thing that I'm kind of concerned about is the fact that, you know, these units here, I'm trying to run to them and they're not reacting. They're not responding to any of this. And I don't know if they could have prevented that from happening, but they definitely may have been able to kind of push it a little bit out of position, because they are just making a beeline straight for our flag. Fortunately for us, Arsenic is on his way to reinforce the flag and prevent that from falling right away, as well as, you know, our surviving warriors from Vi for Power and myself. So here comes Kruniak, and he's going to try to take out Donsky's archers. And that's one of the interesting things about this game was I think Rat King's team really effectively took out a lot of our archers, although Kruniak pussed himself right there. And I think Browning is probably going to be trying to move in and take out that dwarf. Yeah, so I think he's going to engage Kruniak there. The other thing that's really weird is the fact that this person, Spartan Ken, you know, we see Giant Killer General retreating, but Spartan Ken is stuck here all by himself, and with his Thrall just kind of space-barred right in the middle of this entire Rat King force here. And he's just kind of oblivious. Like, I don't think he understands what's happening, and he's basically, he's going to get killed here. His dwarf is not dead yet, but it will be really soon as he gets sniped right there. And instead of retreating, he advances with his archers as if he can do anything against this. And basically all his thrall get eaten up by these warriors, giving them extra kills, giving them vet status. Luckily for our team, we were able to kind of push Rat King's team off the flag and even puss Thor's warriors and maybe get a couple of kills right here, although he has a puss goal of his own, and he might just let it go right here and try to get some, you know, revenge, I guess. But he's still probably going to lose almost all of his units there. But even with that, we are still down over 10% as we're scrambling to form a coherent defense here. The thing, though, is that we've got... Ooh... That was interesting. What was that? Whose archers were those? I think that those were our archers. I didn't really see that, but I think that was friendly fire. And all of a sudden, we have like no archers to deal with Rat King's team's archers that are at full capacity. All 9 archers remain, which is pretty incredible
Flag captured.
when you think about how many archers our team got. While this is happening, though, this person, Father Xmas, actually snuck in and took that flag, but Kruniak had moved in at the last second to contest. And because he did that, Rat King's team was able to run in and possibly engage. Kermisi getting some shots off. Really interesting shot there. As I think Rat King is going to be able to pull ahead here. You know, the percentages were close for a little bit, but all of a sudden those veterans are kicking in, and there's not a whole lot left to kind of stand in the way of this force, especially with all of these warriors and Stygian Knights. It's going to be really difficult. We don't have an archer advantage. We have a couple of dwarves, but without an archer advantage, it's going to be hard to use them effectively.
Flag captured.
As you know, their archers are going to try to pick off our dwarves, and our dwarves aren't going to really be able to be used how they need to be used. As who is that? Kermisi getting a couple of nice shots off with his dwarf. So Donsky takes one of the dwarves and splits him up, but for every second that these dwarves retreat, it's going to be harder and harder to retake this flag, as Rat King's team is able to kind of position itself with the archers forward and kind of present like a really difficult force to just kind of run in and take the flag. So Father Xmas is able to hold the flag. However, Rat King's warrior here is going to ensure that no matter what happens, no matter how much time is left in the game, Rat King's team is going to be able to retake this flag. As we see that adrenaline is going to peel itself away from this flag defense now that they realize that they have the advantage, and it's going to reinforce this flag basically. And Arsenic is kind of left scratching his head, wondering what he can possibly do at this point in time, because there's really not a whole lot that he can do with only 3 warriors. And there's still 1 pus left. Browning has this 1 pus goal, but he has to be extra careful because he has very little health. So it maybe one shot, one arrow to the face, and he's pretty much done for. The other thing is GKG finally heals that dwarf. So finally these dwarves are kind of at full-ish health. But the other thing to think about, to consider, is the fact that there are 2 journeymen kind of on this flag area, and that's really hard for dwarves to be able to handle all by themselves, because journeymen take so many hits from dwarf bottles. They soak up so much damage. Interestingly enough, Adrenaline is kind of dodging this dwarf and trying to move in to take him out, but Stygian Knights are really susceptible to explosives, so they're so he was basically taken out. GKG is going to try to move in here and do some damage. However, he does do some damage, but he gets killed at the last second by that errant bottle. Interestingly enough, Donsky is going to be running in and trying to do some damage. However, he's basically all alone. Arsenic has a couple of warriors, but he's being chased out of there. So Donsky's all by himself trying to do some damage. He does manage to get a shot off on Enculator's archers, taking out one of them, almost taking out both. And so far, not taking a whole lot of damage. He does take out both, but at the same time, these 2 warriors, or those 2 journeymen, are going to make it really difficult for him to do anything more than that. As we can see here, the double J-Man rush is running in and going to be making it very hard for him to do anything else. And Father Xmas is going to hold on for as long as he can, but Adrenaline is just going to prove too much at this moment in time, and that is pretty much game over. So that was a pretty well fought game. I think our team almost had it, but I think because the other team had such good awareness, they were able to prevent the loss and ensure that they took the win through some pretty smart use of their units. Looking at the players, Enculator had a lot of kills, 22 kills. I'm curious how he had all those kills. Maybe he had a dwarf. Yeah, maybe it was his dwarf or something like that. But Kremisi with a lot of damage, 96 damage from Kremisi. So That was pretty good. I think because Cremisi was kind of the main force that overran Vie for Power and myself, and then also his dwarf racked up a lot of kills on the flag while that fight was happening. And Adrenaline, with his large force, actually managed to get a number of kills also with 15. For our team, I'd say I guess our two best players this game were Father Xmas, who slipped through, missed all these shenanigans, slipped through and took the flag. He had 16 kills, so he actually did pretty okay. And Giant Killer General, who was holding kind of the middle and then fell back. He was kind of like the backbone of our force, including our defensive effort, and he actually managed to hang on for as long as he could and do a lot of damage. So I'd say Giant Killer General for our team was kind of kept us in the game up till the end. But it was even too much for him. Although the damage quantities are pretty close, like 497 to 434, so it's about a 60 damage point difference there. So that's not too much. Pretty close game. So yeah, that's so Rat King's team takes a 2-0 lead so far in this series, and I don't know if Donsky's team's going to be able to come back or not, but it's going to be interesting to see if that could be the case in Game 3. So I guess we'll see you in Game 3 coming up.
Team eliminated. Game over.